Another episode of Pax Unmasked. Last episode was episode 5 of season 3. What do you think?
I had some questions. Do you think they forgave Crosshair a little too quick for all the transgressions that he committed?
No, I mean, I think that was really just the whole point of this episode, was just kind of get past that real quick so they can move the story on to something else other than the conflict between Crosshair and Hunter. And though I did think it was a little bit cliche, fighting a monster, right? But just as I thought that, Wrecker, he just, like, literally, just as I was thinking that, Wrecker makes a comment on, why is it always gotta be a monster, you know? I was like, oh, geez, right? But I mean, it wasn't to, like, I think it was just to move the story on. Yeah.
I thought that monster fight was actually really well done. It was kind of fun and interesting. You were right; it is a little cliche, but I mean, the other question is how would you do it in a way that they can build that relationship back up without a monster, or what would you use to move the story that would actually be interesting?
That's exactly. Star Wars. You really just nailed it. They had to move the story on just a monster. I think a lot of people found that episode's boring because it was just another monster.
I don't know. I thought it was actually pretty interesting. I like some of the things that they splashed into it. Just like the conflict with him and his shaking hand issue. They're adding some story beats that maybe lead to some other threads or what's going on there. I like the back and forth between Hunter and Crosshair trying to get over their animosity towards each other. I liked Omega's kind of interjection, and I liked the fact that Omega wasn't the main catalyst. She was kind of shoved off to the side and left in the building while the two of them went out in the field instead of having to be the catalyst that brought them back together.
I found what's interesting because Omega was actually starting to become Crosshair's like therapist. Like Crosshair was going to Omega for advice.
Yeah,
which was pretty weird.
Going to his big sister.
Right?
He's technically older.
Right? Technically older. But yeah, he was going to her for advice, which is very uncharacteristic of Crosshair.
Here's a question. At this point, how old do you actually think the Bad Batch is? That's something we should look up.
Yeah, I would have to look that up.
That's actually kind of interesting because their accelerated aging could be one of the reasons that his hand is so shaky when he's trying to fire his rifle.
Yeah.
And what are the consequences of that? And taking the average lifespan and accelerating it to make your army faster.
Yeah, these guys are on a timeline here. I mean, and I think that's another thing that kind of makes this Project Necromancer interesting, right? Because all these clones are going to still be useful.
Exactly, and I think we maybe saw some of that potentially in Ahsoka. I mean, with Thrawn's army there, were they some of the clones that were being experimented on Tantis.
Speaking of Thrawn, are you excited to be Thrawn?
I am, but I have a question. I'm not sure. I've never actually used contacts before, so I'm not, as somebody who's never done that before, I'm kind of curious as what advice maybe people have for someone who's never put contacts in their eyes, and if there's any contacts that they would recommend for that kind of cosplay.
I've tried some contacts from other places, but I haven't enjoyed them. They don't sit in my eyes very well. They're hard to wear for a long time. So if anybody knows any good sources for colored contacts, if you're interested, we need to find some more. I'm curious myself. Yeah.
The rise of Thrawn and Enoch at Calgary Comic-Con.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. Yeah. As you see some of my Enoch parts on the floor in front of me.
Yeah, it's coming along quite well.
Yeah.